welcome everyone to the IIHS Ask Me Anything Instagram Live Alumni Edition. And this year we have 3 of our alumni who have come forth to have this candid conversation with you regarding their experiences during the Urban Fellows program. Now, I welcome Sham Lal, who hails from Himachal Pradesh and has a disciplinary background in Bachelor of Arts and Masters of Arts. And I also welcome Manveen Kaur from Aurangabad, Maharashtra, and her disciplinary background is in medical science. And Ujjwala Krishna, who's from Nama Bengaluru, Karnataka, and her disciplinary background is in architecture and urban design. So I welcome you all, and I open the platform for you to engage and introduce yourselves, and then we'll navigate this forward.
Okay.
So Sham, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Subhaya, thank you. Hi all. It's me, Sham. I am from Himachal, and I just completed my UFP program right now, and now I'm on the internship. And also I'm doing the PhD in the Department of Political Science, University of Delhi. And I am on internship, and I'm doing the independent internship with one of the professors. So yeah, this is my small introduction here.
Yes, thank you, Subir. So, hi everyone, I'm Manveen. So, I'm from Aurangabad, but I'm currently in Hyderabad. So, as part of the Urban Fellows program, we can do a 2-month internship. So, I'm interning here at an organization called the George Institute for Global Health, and I'm involved in their Smart Health project, and I'll be here for another 2 months. Thank you.
Ujjwala, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Sham. Hi, Manveen. Hi, so I'm Ujjwala. I'm from the previous UFP batch, from the 21 to 22 batch, and I finished the program last year. I did my internship as well, and then I'm currently based in Bangalore, but I work at an organization called Habitat Forum NHAF, which is based in Ahmedabad. But my background is an architect, but I work in urban research now.
So, excuse me. Why don't you guys tell us as to how you navigated your way into the program and your journey from that? Anyone? You guys can just start. You don't have to wait for me to ask you.
I can go first. Yeah. So. So I'm a doctor, so I did my MBBS, and then I wanted to study aging, and I did a clinical and a social sciences fellowship in aging, so a fellowship in geriatric medicine and a master's in aging. And I was working at a place where I was getting to learn a lot of things, but I still wanted to ground my work in aging and my understanding in the context of the city. So I came across the Urban Fellows program on Twitter, and it looked like a place that promoted interdisciplinarity and had some of the best people working in climate change, which was an area of interest for me. So that is how I came across the program and applied for it.
So my question to you, Manveen, is that how do you find your new form of practice to take place now between medical and urban through, providing safe public spaces for old people? So could you tell us something about that? about you wanting to bridge the gap between the
Yeah,
two
sure.
spaces?
So the thing was, I had come from a very clinical understanding of the topic of aging, and in my degree in gerontology, it was in London. So it was grounded in a very European context, whatever I was learning. And the fellowship actually gave me more than I expected. So the interdisciplinarity that was part of the fellowship, it really made me think a lot. It had subjects like economy, ecology, planning, which I know matter, but I never really thought that I could study them or be in a classroom with people who have expertise in these subjects. So throughout the course of the fellowship, I learned a new language, which was a shared language between people coming from different disciplines, and it has really helped me understand aging better and ask different questions. So my interest is research. I am a researcher. So like, for example, if I used to think of climate change and health before, I would think of heat strokes and how do you manage them. But now I know that there is so much more to it. Where does a ward for pregnant women is planned in a hospital is as important as maybe the medical management of heat stroke. So the interdisciplinary understanding is really helping me even in my work here. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Sham, would you like to talk about your journey before the UFP and through it?
Sure. As I already mentioned, I am a research scholar in University of Delhi. So, the coming from the rural area and living in Delhi since 5 years. So I had a lot of the things how city works, and I just specifically was looking into the identity and the pedagogical the perspective. So in the city, I saw there are a lot of the things in the city which is different from the urban area. So I just got to know about the IHS, and I know about that, and I just applied there because I was really interested in how social identity the work in the urban, specifically in the higher education. So I applied, and then I really got this, and you can see this in the common terms. I got to know a lot of the terms, the planning about the uh, identity, and also skill lab. So lot of the things which I really learned from the UFP.
So Sham, I'm going to pick on this one word that you've used here, social identity. Could you tell our audience what you mean by that, and what are you referring to in specific terms, and what do people understand by the very idea of identity?
So it's nothing like the being a part of society. So society is very interdiscipline in the uh, multidisciplinary society. So we have a the like in terms of identity, like we have a society like India, we have a caste system, we have a class system, we have a religion, lot of the different identity of the religious, and also the we have other third gender also. So lot of the identity which exists in the society. So I just can see it. The social identity is you can look at, you can see it in terms of a single human being, which could not be only a person, which has a lot of the identity within themselves. Like one woman, that could be the Dalit woman, that could be the Dalit Muslim woman, that also coming from the urban or rural area. So these all are the identities. Also special identity is formulate to make your social identity also. The simple things with
And what aspect of these identities do you hope to explore in your career trajectory?
Could you
okay, thank you, Sham. Ujjwala, I want to ask the same question to you as to how did you come across this program and your journey through it, and how do you navigate, and what did it really give you, your reflections through this program?
So, I mean, I'm trained as professionally as an architect, and I'm sure all the architects who are also listening into this conversation know that there is sort of this, what we learn in design school or architecture school is very different from what actually happens on the ground. There's sort of like constant um, conflict and sort of this dissonance which arises between the spatial and like the actual socio-political economic setting of our cities. And I've grown up in an urban center all my life, and I could see that there is a gap, but I could not understand what that gap exactly was, and I did not know how to put it into words. I did not know how to explain it to someone when they asked me. I realized this sort of through, uh, of course, 5 years of architecture school, and I also shifted. Just to give context, I shifted into the program directly after my graduation, but that's where I realized that there was this gap that I could see, but I did not know how to fill or bridge. And I thought the UFP seemed, at least the structure, what I read about it, what I heard about it. So a couple of my seniors had gone to the program as well, so who I spoke to, and it seemed like a place where it would broaden my understanding and maybe give me and equip me with some certain tools to be able to talk about it in a certain way and maybe explain all that confusion going on in my own head. Because, for example, so I work in I've worked in housing for quite a bit. I worked with construction workers. I've been trying to work with the government, and all of these things are points where, like, according to my professional training, I wouldn't really have the skill to be able to do these things. But the UFP sort of equipped me to not just, no, I think my greatest learning from it was not just the program structure itself, but the people I was surrounded by, because they came from very different backgrounds. So for example, there were classes like economics where I did not understand a word, and it would be very hard for me to keep up. While there were other classes like spatial appreciation or something, which I understood very well, or planning norms. So it was this constant back and forth and up and down throughout the program, which actually now in retrospect, because it's been more than a year, looking back at it, has really helped develop my trajectory and focus into urban research and specifically housing itself over the last, now 2 years. So I think that's been rather great. Of course, I mean, there are very specific points from the UFP itself, which maybe we can talk about later. But I think it's been more of like it was almost like a point to multiple points journey, which has happened for me personally in the UFP.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, what I really have understood from all you alumni over the years is that along with what the course teaches you, you pick up many soft skills from each other that sort of help you or enable you to understand various modules or skills in life that you need otherwise once you shift your trajectory. So let's say, Ujjwala, you came in as a designer and now you're much more than that. You're doing things that you want, but with your rooted ground in design and how that informs your perspective on bringing out social challenges, for that example. You bring in that spatial character that you wouldn't get otherwise. But, you know, so I think it's very interesting how the program gets people from various disciplines and, creates this class of cohort where you not only learn from your classes, but also from each other. And I would just want to emphasize also that tell us what you guys are doing currently and what is your work like, and how are you able to apply your teachings or your learnings from the program into your workspace now?
Okay. I can start first again. So right now I'm working on a project at the George Institute for Global Health that is trying to, it's a digital health platform which is trying.
Hold on, sorry, Manveen, to interrupt you. We can't see you clearly. You're a
I'm,
little
I'm
blurry.
sorry, I think it's the internet. It's, no,
No
I'm really
worries.
sorry for that. But yeah, so I'm working on developing a digital platform for managing more than two diseases together. So, like as you age, you are going to have you won't just have one disease in your life, right? You look at people around you and they have BP, they have sugar, they have had a heart attack, they'll have so many other problems. But these are not challenges that clinical medicine really prepares you for, because it prepares you to treat one disease. It doesn't prepare you to manage all of them together. So in the UFP, I took an elective skill lab on Internet of Things, which is really helping me now, because I do not come from a very quantitative background in that sense, or a very computer ish background. But all the electives, so one definitely IoT, because there is use of a lot of sensor based technology in the project, and also the GIS elective, because like I'm somebody who is afraid of using maps. So that really changed after UFP with all the GIS skill labs. So they are helping me even in the current project that I'm involved in. Yeah.
So now, with what I understand is these skill labs have enabled you to navigate into deeper research methods that inform
Yes,
your
yes.
practice better,
And
right?
also like the experience of Practica. So because we are trying to develop uh, a tool which should be interactive. So in my practica, I worked with a group of designers and planners and political scientists and economists. So it was a very diverse group of 7 people, and we had come up with some interactive card game to engage with for data collection basically. So that is something that I can directly use here. So the learning from Practica and the skill labs, it's just showing immediately in the current work. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can go the next. Yeah. So currently I am a independent scholar, like doing internship with one of the professor in Delhi University, and I came through to this internship because during my comments I had gone through the lot of the the class practices, and IHS also assign us to interview one of the faculty and any IHS. So I got to know more about in-depth interview and methodology. So I was just thinking to apply it in the practical thing. So I in after these comments, then we just turned into the elective course. So I just introduced the project. So then in this project thing, I had gone through the independent projects, and in that independent project, I took the primary study. So that class practice, or the data skill lab, helps me to how to talk people, how to interact with, and how to get the sample, and how to decode your data. So it helps me a lot during the period of that time. And then I was so curious about to apply it in my also PhD. So in the live project, 231 project, I complete my project. Then I was thinking ki let's do it the further, and it's not about just finish it in 2 or 3 months, not a part of the UFP. I wanted to be the do it further. That's why that was the basic reason to why I choose UFP, because I already know IHS is the research-based center, and it helps me a lot about in-depth or in-depth research. So I choose this, and now it is really helping. Also, the professor is very helpful. They really will teach you very basic thing. And Tika, I can say that was very interdisciplinary group. Here we had a engineering background, we had a architect, also we had economics, we had also social scientists. So lots of the uh, uh, was in the one group. So I got to know about the uh, interdisciplinarity and the different levels, how to look into the one problem through the different lens. So that was helpful to me, and now I am applying it in my.
Ujjwala, would you like to go
Sure.
ahead as well?
So I think my experience has also been very similar to Manjeet's, where in terms of, I come from a specific background, and then the UFP has helped me sort of shift to another sort of context of work. So I work, like I mentioned, I work at Habitat Forum Impact, which is based in Ahmedabad. We're a small organization, but we do quite a bit of work around housing, around construction workers. So the current project that I'm involved on is we are trying to work with the National Skill Development Corporation in sort of implementing specific policy changes geared towards increasing women construction workers' participation in higher skilled roles. And I think what the UFP has really helped me do and understand in this line of work is before I came to the program, I could not read a legal document. I could not understand, I did not have the skills to be able to read a policy document and actually understand much of how it worked. Nor did I have sort of any exposure to it, other than just planning regulations which are taught. So in that sense, I think this is very helpful because we're working with a specific scheme right now, and working with the government is always hard. Because there is a lot of back and forth that happens constantly. There are lots of loopholes which are formed, which you then have to go back and fill, and then find other alternatives to. An idea will be shot down, then you have to go back and find another idea which might work. So there's a lot of that which happens, and I think that to give a specific example, in our Practica group, we were working on. We were again a very diverse set of people. We had two architects, we had a lawyer, we had sort of social scientists. So it was again a very diverse group. And what was the best part was that we were looking at rental housing, and we sort of were looking at rental agreements, contracts, housing regulations, legal documents, policy documents. Sorry. And we would sort of sit with each of these documents and try analyzing them. And at first, it was a huge struggle for me. But over time, we would sit with a lawyer. He would explain what is the difference between a contract and an agreement. What is this? What does that word mean? Why do lawyers have to use such language? Why do all policy documents have to use such convoluted language? Why can't it sort of be simpler? And I think these are all the things which I've sort of taken into my practice now. And I'm able to see it in real life actually sort of play out, where I am having to finally use words like those. And because that's the only way of getting across your idea to a certain organization or group of people. And then how does that sort of trickle down as well? So I think the UFP also taught a bottom-up and top-down approach and differences between the two of sort of applications of projects, like how does research actually work? And until then, I had been exposed to a very bottom-up, but this is what I'm currently doing is like a top-down. So there is a very big difference between also what I've been exposed to through my graduation, through the UFP, and now through my work. And I think in that sense, the program really helped widen my understanding and also create a lot of avenues for me to already leverage the skills that I had as well as the skills that I learned.
This is very interesting when you mentioned about expansion of vocabulary, because at some point all of you need to find a common ground, because you come from so many different disciplines, and there's on various arguments or various perspective on things. And how do you actually find this common space? I really would like to deep dive into that. How do you all manage to find a common space in agreement when you have worked in a project on these specific outcomes that would be placed? Is it a trick question? I hope I've not placed a trick question
No, not at
across.
all.
But I think I'm just diving deeper into your experiences and your reflections, because this sort of informs the folks who would be applying to our program as to what are these different dynamics that they'd be exposed to. You know, one is never usually prepared to these dynamics, and it only unfolds when it arises. So, would you want to talk about these dynamics that you guys have experienced?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Should I
sure.
go first?
So, Uchila, you want to go ahead?
Okay, sure. Thanks. Yeah, sort of. That's actually very interesting, Subhai, because that's exactly what happened in our practica. Practica was the first step. We were sort of working together with other people. So we were a diverse set, and we would constantly try to. So the way we started our project was very different from the way we ended our project. Because we started with sort of 6 different outlooks and lenses at that particular setting. Because we were roaming around our neighborhood and looking at all of us were looking at different aspects. And all of us had different ingrained ways of, say, depicting those aspects that we were looking at and sort of jotting them down, noting them down, drawing them out, and different ideas on what we could do with those points that we were looking at. We're all looking at a common subject, rental housing, but we're all looking at it in different ways. And we all had a different set outcome that we would reach. But what was interesting was that over time, there would be lots of constant discussions and dissonance between all of us as to what we were working towards. Someone would think that our set outcome has to be about rental housing, the economics of it. Somebody would think that no, it has to be about the built form of it. And we would constantly go back and forth with it. But I think that's where we realized that we're all bringing very different skills to the table. But at the same time, the idea is to build a common vocabulary first between each other. And secondly, to be able to execute a common sort of outcome, but with all of our skill sets combined. And I think that's what, so someone would sort of sit down and explain to us how the narrative is going to unfold. What exactly are we talking about? They would get into the nitty-gritties of the policy. The others would get into the nitty-gritties of what is the spatial manifestation of what we're looking at, how to depict it, how to explain our ideas, how to visualize our ideas. And all of this, I think, is where we developed that common sort of language, where we're all able to talk to each other. We might not be able to understand each other at the same level, with the same level of skill or expertise, of course. That will never happen because none of us will be able to achieve a degree in everything. But we're able to have a conversation at the table. And I think that's what the program really did for me. That it allowed me to have a conversation with people from other professional backgrounds and be able to understand them and reach sort of a base level of common vocabulary and understanding, which is, I think, sort of the biggest takeaway. But yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Thanks, Ujjwala. I think I would like to add to Ujjwala's point. It was developing a common language and it involved a lot of learning and unlearning both. So we do come from very strong disciplinary ideas. So it's it's in finding common language. I think the skill of listening and respecting the other person sitting on the table, and the other person sitting on the table speaks a very different language from you too. So I think that came across, that really built up during the practica. So for my group, we were 7 people. We went out on field, and still when we came back on the table, we used to come back with very different ideas, but also some ideas that maybe all of us were finding the same sort of problems on the field, or the same question that would trouble us. So we ended up all looking at, the life of security guards. So it was, so that there were things that were very common, and we could get along very well on certain subjects. And then there were other ideas also that we had, like Ujjwala said. But it was like if I came up with an idea and my teammates put it across me why this doesn't work, it's also a way of unlearning for me. So I come up with ideas which are very health related, but then maybe looking at something how to work in teams is very different. So we kind of navigated that, and all of us came with very different skill set. So if you ask me a question about security guards, I'll just go up and read up everything. But somebody else would rather look at the previous maps of the area and find out where security guards work to understand their life better. So it was a very much of a give and take of skills and disciplines, and a lot of learning and unlearning in developing this common language. Yeah.
I think what you guys end up like catching is the art and beauty of negotiation, right? You negotiate just enough to allow room for new perspectives to come in, layers to unfold, for all these aspects to come into play that works.
Yeah. I think it also makes you a better person in
Right.
the end, like forget skills. It makes you a better person if you can sit on the table and listen to somebody else from a very different background talk. It's just very rare. We don't appreciate it a lot.
So we will open up a quick Q&A session with the audience. If anyone has questions, please write to us on comment or on the question panel right there, and our alumni will answer any queries that you have about the program, how to apply, or what are they looking for, or what the experiences are about, or the content, whatever you want to ask. Please feel free. This is a candid space for you to interact with our alumni and gain insights from their experiences. Meanwhile, if there's anything else you folks want to add, please, the platform is yours to deep dive into any aspects you want to highlight. Okay, so I have another question for you guys. So once you're out of UFP now, especially Ujjwala, it's been a year. How has your cohort been with in your professional sphere?
Sorry, so how is my cohort?
As in, are you in touch with everybody? Because at times you do get into different, like sectoral changes. 1 second, hold. I meant to say is that as you navigate your career trajectories, right, and you shift from different sectors, at times you require certain skills. Do you still like have this, phone dial to one of your friends from one of one of your cohorts, and like, you'd be like, help me out here. How does this work? How is your relationship with the cohort and the alumni at large? Because that's what we're also trying to create, right? Post UFP, this community of people helping each other out.
I think, yes, the program really does offer a huge sort of network support, firstly, because you have a lot of people working in different sectors, but all geared towards maybe a certain output. I mean, the basis of the program is for the betterment of our urban center, right? So we're all geared towards a certain output, but we're all in very different sectors. We might be working in grassroots level organizations, we might be working with the government, we might be working in the corporate sector. But I think what the program does is put all of us together in that same boat, which might like have different areas. Put in a very bad analogy. I think, okay, so very quick anecdote. Yes, I definitely left with support from my cohort. I had to draft my first ever MOU last year sometime at my work. And I had absolutely no idea how to do it. I was looking at the internet. I was looking for examples, how to write an MOU. What is the kind of language I need to use? What are the points that I need to cover? And I just reached out a quick message in the group. There's always this happening. Like there's always a message in the common group saying, oh, can somebody help me out with this? Can somebody help me out with that? I think that's really helpful because you can reach out to anyone and there'll be somebody or the other to help you. It might be looking for an article, for a report. You might want help with writing a certain thing. You might want help with looking for a certain data point in our amazing scenario of data and how it's available and where it's available and not knowing about that. So I think that really helps. For me, I think that's a huge support, and it's forever going to be like a network that I can reach out to at any point. Of course, it's also very interesting knowing what my current batchmates are doing, because some of them have completely gone in different directions from what they came in as, what they were doing when they came into the program and what they're doing now. I think that's always interesting to see because it also gives you ideas. It gives you it widens your horizons about what's going on, maybe in a particular domain or different domains other than yours. It also lets you know that, well, there is always hope that you will not be stuck in a certain place. And you can always find your way through, well, as horrible and as amazing this entire journey in research maybe or urban studies can be. Like, you'll always find support, which is, I think, I mean, for me, the best thing. So, yeah.
Thank you. We'll start answering the Q&A in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I'd like to ask another question to Sham. Who can apply to this program according to you, and why? And I want you to stress on not just folks coming from ultra-urban metropolitan cities, but accessibility to different regions of the country that people are not aware of. Would you like to emphasize on that aspect and meeting people from different parts of the country as well, because it's not just disciplinary background that you have in the cohort, but it's also geographical.
So I think everybody can try, everybody can join UFP. I think so. If you are interested in urban issue, any urban issue, we have a lot of the emerging urban issue and lot of the global issue also. So it's not like if you are interested in, if you have any idea about the anything else which is literally about city, but there are a lot of the hidden, or you can see it, very invisible issues about city also, which might be we are not around that, and we didn't can't be find out them. So if you are interested in any urban issue, so everybody can join it. And I think I joined it in the the last of my education another phase. So I was just missing it also little bit because I might be yeah, it's reality. Now I was thinking it's better. It's even thanks to IHS also. Okay, I got the opportunity to join UFP now, but I wish if I will be the if I would there 2-3 years ago, like after your graduation or masters, students should be applied for UFP because it's interdisciplinary and it will give you the lot of the unfold ideas how to think about something. It's after my graduation my socialization and my education is only in the one discipline, and I never touch other about climate change, about the gender issue, planning sector, other the traffic issue. These all are was not mine another interest area, but now I can see these all are mine and I can think about it, and everybody should be introduced at least once in all of the issues, because it's not like that I wanted to be urban scholar, that's why I wanted to join UFP. It's about being a human, being a part of the society. We have to live everywhere and we can live all or any space, so at least we should know about all these things. And if I mention things like any idea about the waste management center, and I really now I am so surprised about on the city level how the cleaning process work. That was so surprising to me. Also, I didn't any about idea about the transportation. There are the means of these are the mode of the transportation, and people should think about it, because I saw empty another roads in my area and nothing like that. But when I came to Bangalore, so there are a lot of this issue also. Then I miss metro, Delhi metro in Bangalore and other stuff also. So these all are the urban issue which I got to know about it. But I think if you are in after your graduation or masters, you should try at least once. Yeah.
Right. So we have a question from you from the audience. Where are you from and where are you now? And message to applicants from these locations. What is your message to the applicants from the locations where you are and where you're from?
Okay, so I am from Aurangabad, Maharashtra, which recently got renamed. So it's a billion-plus city, but unfortunately, it doesn't really, like when you look up books in urban sociology or in urban studies, there aren't many books on Aurangabad. So coming from a city which holds more than 10 lakh people and still does not contribute enough to research or is not really very well understood, I think people from the tier 2 cities should think about applying to UFP, because it is where a lot of potential for India's urbanization lies. I'm currently in Hyderabad, which is one of the metropolitans, and it's so Hyderabad now is building up a metro for itself. So it's good to be placed in a city which is already urbanized in that way, nearly completely, or it's just urbanized in a very planetary urbanization. So, I'm using terminology that I've learned say 4 months back, but it resembles cities like New York, like Chicago. So it is developing in a different way. So coming from a tier 2 city, going to a tier 1 city and looking at the difference also helps. So yeah, that is what I would say from both the locations. Yeah.
Mira underscore M13 asks, would we require SOP for the application? Anyone wants to answer this? Is an SOP required for the application? SOP is statement of purpose.
Yeah, I think the application has a lot of different questions that you are supposed to answer. So, Mira, if you are like, it's not an SOP, the kind of SOP that you write for your master's or PhD application abroad, but they're very intuitive questions about why do you want to apply to the urban, or a problem statement and what do you think about it, which is an urban problem statement. So the questions are geared towards understanding why you want to come to the program and will the program meet your requirements. So I think there are intuitive questions, not an SOP that way. Yeah.
Sham, this question is for you. Haruki asks, is it okay or do I get a negative point if my statement and essays in the application extend more than the word limit, or do I need to follow the word limit strictly?
Yes, I think this word limit I just really follow. I think I haven't that much idea, but if you just I would like to suggest you just keep it in mind. If they are asking 500 words, so don't go more than 500, because this is also not a good impression on the candidates also, because because this application process will also measure how are you taking this and how will you think about it, because it's like if they are asking about a specific issue, then just come to on the point. Don't make any essay and long things. Don't think about it. If you will write more, then impression would be more effective. No, it's not like that. Simple, be honest, and be on the issue. And I again want to be suggest, don't go above the limitations.
Ujjwala, would you like to answer this? Anand Rajgupta is asking, is there any fee or is it free to be an Urban Fellow member?
So the program is structured in such a way that it is a 9-month-long residential program. So it has a fees, but you can apply for a lot of scholarships as part of the program. And I think it's blind. It's need based. So you don't have to, if you're unable to pay the fees, you can always apply for a scholarship, partially, fully. You also get paid a stipend per month. So the program is quite inclusive in that way. I'm sure a program like this, because it is structured in such a way, requires a certain amount of funding to be able to run. But it is inclusive in the way that it allows for people to be able to join the program and actually move on and broaden their avenues. So I hope this answers your question.
We have another question. Aditi Dillon is asking, thank you for this session. I was just wanting a little more clarity on the placement post the UFP. Is there an official placement process that takes place, or is it the placement self-found?
Yeah.
I could answer part of this. Is that, Aditi, the thing is that as part of the program, you're required to do a 2-month internship from a set of organizations across different sectors based on where your interest lies. And then on your experience and your performance, if the organization decides to continue with you, then you get placed. But at the moment, we do not have an official placement process, but maybe in future we might include that as well. right? But if you guys would like to talk about it, but we do have a strong alumni group on LinkedIn and other platforms where we help each other out with different job openings, postings, leads that build our community stronger than ever, helping each other out. But if there's anything you guys would like to add to this, that'd be great.
I think Anand had a follow-up question on where he can apply for the scholarship. So I just wanted to answer that. So you don't apply for the scholarship before or after. So basically, once the process is over, after you get an offer for the UFP program, then the scholarship process starts. So then you have to fill a form and go through the financial assessment part. So it's not before the program. Yeah.
That's great. Sham, Haruki has had a follow-up question as well. Would you like to just answer that? She says there are questions that are requiring more than the word limit, otherwise they're just losing the essence of what I'm attempting to say. I'm not sure where she's getting at, if she's like
No,
making a statement here or asking us how she
no,
can like navigate.
I think he got what we want to deliver to him.
He,
I don't think so. He's the
right, right. I think that's great. If anyone else has any questions, please shoot forward before we close our session in a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, I'd like to thank Sham, Manveen, and Ujwala for taking the time out from your busy schedule to talk and interact with folks who are interested in applying into the next Urban Fellows program. For those interested in applying this year, please visit www.urbanfellows.ihs.co.in. For your application, any queries you have regarding the program, it's all out there on the website, and you can follow our Instagram page for updates. Is there anything else you guys would like to add that you can think of? Maybe some memories that you take away with you. And let's move. Let's deviate from all the serious chunk of what the program did, but move on to what you also experience as human, because you spoke about it humanizes you. And I think what it also does is it's so intensive, right? The 9 months that you're here, that you are always with each other 24/7, inside class, outside class, since it's a residential program. What is that you take away from each other? Perhaps
sorry
that
to
friendship
interrupt.
that
There are two
yeah.
questions in the description. The Anand is asking, prior work or internship experience is mandatory. So Anand, it's not like that. No work requirement and no experience. Your interest should be in the urban issue, and your idea should be very clear why you are interested in UFP only. They are not asking any high degree and your experience. And then Divya, she's asking, is it okay to join UFP immediately after bachelor's? So yes, it is okay. We had a lot of the friends, those who came after their bachelor's engineering. So yeah, you can, if you are a bachelor, and work in the field and gain some experience before applying. No, you can come directly after your graduation. No need to be work anywhere else to join UFP. Don't work anywhere else because you want to join UFP. Your interest should be, they will give the priority. I think so.
And in case you don't make it this year because of some reason, then take the year to actually gain some experience and then come again.
Aditi?
So we have another question from Ganesh. Would Ujwala, would you like to take a look at that?
Yeah, sure. I can see Ganesh.
He says, yeah. The second question asks about how your experience can we write about what we have read in a book?
Okay. So I I'm not sure what you mean by can we write about what we have read in a book means in part of your application. I would just like to say each fellow's journey as part of the program is very unique. So you don't have to think of a certain set of prerequisites or requirements to join the program. There are really none. Everybody comes from a very different journey that they've had, educationally, academically, professionally. And I think that is what is the biggest sort of positive of this program. So if you are in your application writing about a certain experience that has really made you question. Also, in your application, I would suggest don't think of your answer, don't think that you are writing answers or solving issues. Think of posing your confusion in your head as questions. What is it that you aim to gain out of the fellowship in the first place? What are the things that are bothering you? And why is it that you think that the program might help you? You are not, of course, sure that the program will help you. You're obviously on going out on a limb and thinking that the program is going to clear out some of the confusion for you. But write about that specifically. So if there is a particular experience that you have read about, which has really sort of touched a chord and made you question something, then of course write about it. Write about how it confused you, bothered you, made you question, or how it solved something for you. It might be anything. But if that is something that you want to bring out in your application, it is definitely valid. But it has to be personal. That is what the fellowship is asking you to do through your application.
Great. Thank you for answering that. Aditi Dylan has a small follow-up question. Can I know some of the kind of organizations where the internships are undertaken? I'll just take a lead on this, is that, Aditi, I cannot disclose the list of organizations to you yet, but I can tell you that the organizations that our fellows apply entail or diversify from academics to research institutions to development organizations that include NGOs, working organizations, civil societies, and then we have types with government sector organizations as well. We do have folks going into movements and campaigns, like for example, maybe Delhi. And then we have private enterprise on consulting. We have sector specific where people go into finances, independent enterprises, or digital platforms, media, journalism. We also have folks going into think tanks and do tanks that actually make a lot of difference, which is between practice and research as well. And then we've added energy and climate change this year for folks interested into diversifying into those sectors. So to be honest, it's a wide and diverse range of spaces that you could go to, and it all depends on how you navigate your career trajectory and where is it that you want to go through this Urban Fellows program or your experiences from your disciplinary background. Is there anything else you guys would like to add to her question? I mean, you could probably tell from your personal experience about the organizations you applied to and how you navigated your internships or jobs through that, if you think that might help her with the question.
There are one question. Would you like to answer her? Aditya, she is asking again. Is UFP recommended against joining or working at any urban design firms? Does the UFP gives a better, different experience than working on the lived project?
Yeah, I
Have live,
okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Does anyone want to answer this about the live project since it's part of the program? Please do so. Take the lead.
yeah, Ujjwala, right? Because it's about urban design. So like
Yeah, Ujjwala, would you like to
Sure.
have a look at this? Aditya is asking, is UFP recommended against joining or working at any urban design firm? Is the first question. Second follow-up is, does the UFP give a better / different experiences than working on a live
Okay.
project?
So, of course, like Subhay mentioned, the UFP is a program built on the intersection between practice and research, but it's an academic program, academic-oriented program, which then leads you to practice. The UFP does not recommend anything. It will obviously not tell someone to join or not join. It is completely, like I said, based on your personal trajectory and inclination towards working on something. So that. Hope that answers to your first part of the question, which is the UFP is not going to recommend against or for. It is your personal trajectory and choice that you are sort of making through the program. Secondly, of course, like I said, practice and research and an academic program is very different from working on a live project. Of course, there will be differences. I cannot comment on whether it is better or not, but there will be different learnings from it. What happens in the UFP that I can speak about is that it is an interdisciplinary setting where there isn't specifically an urban design project that's being taken up. You might be working on a host of different projects. For example, I was working on a project which was involved in rental housing, looking at sort of the economics of rental housing and sort of how they sustain their business models. That is very different from an urban design live project or something. I mean, it is of course a research project, but if you are asking specifically between design, like you're asking about a design project, of course there is a difference because this is more academic oriented. While a live project will give you other learnings, which will be working on site, interacting with stakeholders on site, understanding how things are actually built. If you're talking about like building a project and constructing how it translates from paper to reality, that's a completely different set of learnings. And I think like the point is all things in life will give you a different experience. Nothing is better or worse. It is your personal trajectory and inclination towards it which sort of makes you go there. Um, so I would just suggest thinking about what the UFP can offer you, what it is that you're looking for, um, and then sort of thinking about your application and applying. I hope that answers your question.
Great. I think that answers their question for sure. So I'm going to end the session here. I'm going to thank you for taking the time and the effort to talk to our audience, demystify their questions, and simplify their application process as we come closer to our closing date. So for those who are still interested to apply to the program, please do so. 24th April is our deadline. And log into www.urbanfellows.ihs.co.in for more information and the application form. Thank you so much for joining in today. And this session, I hope, is helpful for everyone around who is trying to finish their applications on time. If there's any other message you guys would like to give, please feel free to do so before we close our session.
Best of luck to everybody applying.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good
Thank you.
evening, guys.
Bye.
Bye.